Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. My name is Peter Sima, and I'd like to welcome you on this webinar. And the topic of today's webinar will be fundraising. How to run fundraising campaigns. We'll take a look into fundraising strategy. We'll give you tips on how to design such fundraising campaign. We'll take a look into the optimal campaign timing, and we'll also share case studies with two of our clients. We'll show you how we, in the past, how we've created financing strategies for them and what were the results of such campaigns. And hopefully, this will help you, shed some light on how to approach those fundraising campaigns. And the reason why we decided to have this webinar with this specific topic in early August is very simple. Most of our clients demand fundraising campaigns, in October, some in November, some even in December, and there's just not enough time for us to prepare and execute on a comprehensive fundraising campaign. You know, if if we start so late. So the reason of today's webinar, or the reason why we have today's webinar today, is because we want to encourage you to think about this ahead of time and work with us or anybody else who you use to run your campaigns to think about a strategy and design it. And then when the time comes, you will be ready and you will be able to execute hopefully a successful fundraising campaign. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this platform. For those of you who are not, on the right-hand side, you see this little menu. The first tab is a chat window. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat window over there. And towards the end of the presentation, we'll take a look at them, and I'll try to answer all of them. The next one, the one little icon with a question mark, that's a Q&A section, and I've already dropped 4 questions in that section. So please go in there, take your time, read those 4 questions, and give us your comments. The first 3 are essentially guess questions. So just give us your guess, let us know what you think. And the last question is related to your experience with fundraising campaigns. So please also let us know if you have some experience with fundraising campaigns, if you've ran some campaigns like that in the past or not. Okay, now, and that's all we need. Just one more info before we start. This webinar will take approximately 60 minutes. So we should be done within an hour or so. I'll try my best to be on time. Thank you again for joining. And let's start off by looking into the content of today's webinar. So, first and foremost, we'll look into Google AdGrants. Obviously, this is the main channel that we manage for all of our clients, and Google AdGrants has its place in fundraising. So we'll take a look into the use cases and how AdGrants can be integrated into a successful fundraising campaign. We'll then take a look into the fundraising strategy, so which other channels we can use in conjunction with Google AdGrants. Now we'll take a look into timing, evaluation of such campaigns, and we'll then give you tips on how to maximize your ROI out of fundraising campaigns. And towards the end, we have a case study that we'll look into together. Here's my short intro for those of you who don't know me yet. I'm Peter Sima, and I'm a founder and consultant at AboutX Digital. And besides that, I'm also a Google certified trainer for nonprofits. So part of what I do is also educating nonprofit leaders, nonprofit marketers such as yourself on how to get Google AdGrants, how to use it efficiently, things like that. And our agency specializes in Google AdGrants, but many of our clients also use different commercial channels next to Google AdGrants. So that's a short intro. Let's move on. And now the Q&A section. So again, for those of you who just joined, on the right-hand side, you have a little menu. And the second icon from the top is a section where you can find 4 questions. You can find those questions also here on this slide. Please, I'll give you a 30 seconds or so. Please take your time and give us your guesses. Let us know what do you think? How many percent of annual giving happens in December? And also let us know how many percent of annual giving you think happens within the last 3 days of the year. And also please let us know what do you think is the top day for fundraising And also, if you can, please share your experience. Let us know if you have some experience with fundraising campaigns or not. That will help me steer this presentation. So I'll give you 30 seconds. Please click on the Q&A section and click on comment and give us your comments, please. Don't see any comments yet. Don't be shy. Just, I mean, surely, just give us your guess. Okay, Jackie answered 50% in December. Most of the last 3 days of the year. Okay, those are good tips. Anybody else? All right, I see some comments in the Q&A section. Okay, Rhonda thinks the answer to the third question is Giving Tuesday. And Haley's working on the first fundraising campaign this year. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Jackie's also trying to run dedicated campaigns this year. Appreciate that effort. All right, let's move on. Thank you for your comments. And here are the answers to those questions. So I can switch it like this. Here are the questions. So 31%, 31% of annual giving happens in December. So almost 1/3 of all funds dedicated or donated throughout the year are being donated during December, which is quite a high amount, I think. And 12% of all annual giving happens within the last 3 days of the year. Okay, 12% on last 3 days. The reason why that is very simple. Obviously, at least in the US, donations to 501c3 nonprofit organizations are a tax deductible item, right? And many people make donations before the end of the year to reduce, obviously, their tax duties in the following year. So that's, I guess, the number one reason. Plus, there's holidays; people have a little bit more time, and they're in this mood, holiday mood, when they're more willing to share, sort of reflect back on how much they've made in the year, things like that. So, generally speaking, the mood is set. Plus, there's an additional incentive of tax reduction. So I think those are the main reasons why 12% of all giving happens during those 3 days. And yes, you were also right. The Giving Tuesday is the single best day for fundraising. And I think this is about 2 or 3 years old figure. I couldn't find anything more up to date than that. But at that time, more than $500 million were donated on this single day. So obviously, one of the takeaways here is that last days of the year plus Giving Tuesdays are one of the most important days for a fundraising campaign. You should really maximize your presence during those days. Now, let's look into Google Ad Grants. I know some of you we worked together in the past, so I know you're probably familiar with Google Ad Grants, but there might be some people who are not. So I'll just quickly like to recap on the Google Ad Grants topic. So what it is, obviously, that's a grant program which is offered by Google. It started back in 2003, and up until today, there are more than 15,000 ad grantees. Those are participating nonprofits that use these funds. This program is available in more than 50 countries worldwide. And once you get the grant, you get $10,000 per month, which you can use to run search campaigns within the Google search results. Right? Those are text ads that appear within the Google search results. And you can use this credit given in the form of a grant to promote your organization. There are certain compliance requirements that you need to follow for you to stay in the program. What Google Ad Grants can be used for, and if you look in the first column, the yes column, obviously there's fundraising. That's why we'll talk about it today. but there are other scenarios where you can use Google Ad Grants, and those are, for instance, e-commerce. So if your organization um, sells something, you can absolutely promote those sales via Google Ad Grants. You can also use it to promote your brand, your programs, resources, events if you organize some events, etc., etc. There are some exceptions to that where you cannot use Google Ad Grants, and those are, for instance, situations where you have a content on a third-party domain. Google always approves one main domain. You can only promote content on that domain. You can't promote your Facebook page, your YouTube channel, anything like that. And you can only use text ads. You cannot use display. You can't use video. Those are not allowed. And also, you should not do what's called strictly commercial advertising, meaning if you charge for your services and if the website has a very commercial character, Google might have a problem with that, and it might be difficult for you to get in the program. But if you are a standard nonprofit, you shouldn't have any issues here. Now, this is what the ad looks like. It's one of our clients. It's just for you to understand what a text ad looks like, right? So it's within the Google search results, the one with the gray frame, that's an ad, and it's also labeled ad, right? And then below that you have organic results. These organic results are non-paid results, right? So those are generated by Google, but it's when you run Google Ads, you can create these text ads, and they typically appear on the top above those organic non-paid results, and they help you broaden your reach, rank on keywords that you wouldn't rank on otherwise, etc. Now, what are the pros and cons of Google Ad Grants, right? So when we look at the left-hand column, obviously the biggest advantage of Google Ad Grants is that there's no need for you to pay any advertising budget, right? If you use any other marketing channel, you need to pay to that channel, to that platform for the media space that you use. With Google Ad Grants, you have a budget of $10,000 per month, and it's up to you how much of that you're able to use, right? But it's given to you. You don't have to pay anything to Google. So obviously that's the main advantage. But there are other advantages too. And Google Analytics can be a good source of new visits and new conversions. So what I mean by that, coming back to targeting, with Google Analytics, you can choose the keywords you want your ads to show on. You can go after keywords where your website doesn't rank anywhere close to the top. But with Google Analytics, you can be there and you can get those potential, those people who wouldn't be able to find you otherwise, right? So that's another advantage. It's a stable source of traffic because once you get into the program, you keep getting $10,000 every month, and it's not limited by time. So it can go on for years. Once you ramp up your campaigns, you get a stable source of traffic, which generates you decent number of visitors every month. And you can also experiment, right? Because it's not your money. It's easier to run different experiments, testing different ad copies, testing different keywords. Worst case scenario, you will not get as many conversions or as many clicks, but you are not going to lose actual money because the budget's there, right? And it's also a good place for learning, right? You can test, you can explore the platform, and you're not risking much. And you can also save financial resources, right? If you currently use commercial Google Ads accounts, you can perhaps take some of those campaigns and move them into the Ad Grants account, and you may save, right? Because you will not need to pay for those clicks in the commercial account, but you will still get them to the grant account. All right, what are the cons or what are the limitations of Google Ad Grants? Well, first and foremost, Google Ad Grants is not the same like a commercial account, right? Obviously, Google prioritizes commercial advertisers, right? Whoever pays them gets the top positions, and the grants advertisers are typically placed under those commercial advertisers. So that's obviously one disadvantage. Also, there's only a limited number of ad formats available. Like I said, it's just text ads. If you want to run banners or video, which are not supported in the grant account, and there are those compliance requirements you need to follow, right? So all in all, Google Ad Grants is a great program, and I would recommend all of you to try it, get into the program, test it yourself, and it can be a great source of new traffic. But unfortunately, it isn't sufficient. It isn't sufficient for a comprehensive fundraising campaign because of those limitations that I mentioned before, right? The ad auction is crowded. There are more and more participants in the ad grants program every year. many of those ad grantees test commercial Google Ads accounts. And what I said just a few seconds ago, whenever they use a commercial account, they take priority over grant advertisers. So basically, the space for ad grantees shrink from year to year. Retargeting is not available, which retargeting, that's a strategy where you serve ads repeatedly to people who visited your website in the past. It is one of the most successful, not one of the most efficient strategies in online marketing. It's not available in the grant account. And all of those other interactive formats like the banners or video, which are also very powerful in storytelling and fundraising in general, those are not available as well. And because of these reasons, ad grants is a great start, but it shouldn't be the end. All right, and we'll now move into, or actually, I have one more slide that I want to show you, but after this one, we'll move into the fundraising strategy, and then I'll show you which other channels should be used in conjunction with Google Ad Grants. Before I do that, I just wanted to show you this chart here, which demonstrates a historical performance of one of our Ad Grants accounts. And you can see the red line, that's an average CPC, which stands for average cost per click, and the blue line is the number of clicks. And this spans back to March 2021, going all the way until June, actually the end of June 2024. And you can clearly see, and this is one campaign. So same keywords, very similar targeting. We didn't make any significant changes in this campaign during this time period. And still you see that the average cost per click keeps going up, right? Year after year. And that's because of what I just said. The auction is getting more crowded, keywords are more expensive year after year. And because of that, if we use the full grant, which is still 10,000, if clicks are more and more expensive, that basically means that you get less and less clicks unless you change something in the account. Okay, so I just wanted you to understand this. And now let's move on to the fundraising strategy. So we have a checklist that we typically use when we plan a fundraising campaign. The first one is get approved, right? So that's related to Google Ad Grants. So if you don't have a Google Ad Grants account, obviously Google Ad Grants account should be a starting point. That's the cornerstone of a whole fundraising strategy. So first, get Google Ad Grants. Then once you have that, then we can talk about strategy. And we assist our clients with strategies like this. So if you work with us, obviously let us know. We can work on a strategy, a fundraising strategy with you. If you work with somebody else, bring it up, discuss what you can do, and start early. After you discuss the strategy and after you have clarity here, and you need to create content, right, or end landing pages, right? So if you want to promote different programs, if you want to test different keywords, etc., each keyword group should have its own landing page or own blog article or something like that. So you should start working on these assets. You start publishing them on your website. Then obviously the next step is to prepare the ad copies. If you use ad grants, those will be text ads. If you use commercial accounts, those will be banners, videos, etc., and all that needs to be prepared. Again, it takes some time. Then analytics and conversion tracking, that also needs to be configured, especially if you have new landing pages. It's very important to configure conversion tracking on every single one of them, test it ahead of time, link Google Analytics with Google Ads to make sure that you can track the activity that goes on these pages. And then after you have all that, then you can launch those campaigns and you can start optimizing them, evaluating the results. Right? So this is the process that we follow when running such campaigns. Now, it is important to understand that when you run a fundraising campaign, people do not just click on an ad, land on the page, and donate. It's not that simple, right? There is a whole process which involves at least 3 distinct conversion stages, typically. I mean, there might be small percentage of people who do that, who click on the ad, land on the page, and convert, but there will be a very small percentage of people. Most people need to go through this funnel, and the funnel starts with brand awareness campaigns, with campaigns that aim at educating the market, that aim at just showing to the market that you're out there, you're answering programs, right? And that's the first stage, that's the red stage, right? And over here I have an example of one of our clients, which is an organization that environmental protection in the island of Galapagos. So in their case, campaigns that we configured to capture people at this first conversion stage were campaigns whose goal was to generate website engagement, right? So we used quite generic keywords like this one, wildlife Galapagos, and the goal of these campaigns was to bring people to the website and and for them to just read some articles, spend some time on the website, right? The next stage, the yellow one, in their case, was a more narrow, more narrowly targeted campaign where we used more precise keywords, like for instance, Galapagos environmental nonprofit. So these are people who already know that there is a nonprofit that does environmental protection on the island of Galapagos. They search for keywords like that, and the goal there is more specific. And they could be, for instance, newsletter subscription, or it could be social media, subscription or something like that, right? So on this stage, the goal is to bring people who already have some understanding about the organization, and the goal is to create a relationship with these people. And then the third stage, the blue one, that's the actual conversion stage that you would think of, right? And that's the stage where you create some financial value, right? And then you go after these people who you already have a relationship with, and they use brand keywords or very very narrow keywords, like for instance Galapagos Conservancy, which is their name, right? And then these people, when they already know you, then they're very likely to donate, right? But without those first two stages, it will be very difficult to have them donate. And now this is what it looks like, right? So we have those three stages. In the red stage, which is in the left corner, you can see that the ad grants are very powerful, right? Ad grants are very successful at capturing this initial interest. We can use all sorts of generic keywords. We can promote your content, right? And ad grants can be very successful here. If you have some budget, you can also use paid search. Again, paid search in a commercial account, it has more visibility, it has prominent placement, so we can also use that to distribute the content and to bring people to your website. It is ideal to start these campaigns early on, right? Because these campaigns help us build that traffic, help us build audiences of people who visited your website. Again, if you have interactive content like video or banners, we can use it at this stage. Then the second stage, the yellow stage in the middle, that's the stage where you create a relationship. Again, we can still use ad grants with more specific keywords, but it's also optimal to use other channels like social media, perhaps events, in-person events if you organize something like that. If you have a database of people who support you in the past, you can reach out to them via direct mail even, or email, etc. And then there in the last stage, the blue one, um, as you can see here, ad grants is no longer here, right? Because with ad grants, we cannot do retargeting. And at this stage, we need to reach out to those people who you have a relationship with, and that's called retargeting. And for that, we need to use commercial account. We need to reach out to those people, especially on those days like Giving Tuesday, last days of the year, Christmas, etc. Right? That those are the days when we need to use retargeting heavily, reach out to all those people who visit your page in the past, and basically say, now is the right time. Please donate us, support us, help us do this and this and this next year, etc. Right? So you can see here, these are the three stages. There should be different channels and different campaigns, and use different stage to really be successful here. Now, this is also one of the examples with one of our clients. We had this strategy call in the early stages of fundraising planning, and we basically said that okay, we'll create three distinct groups of ads. One will essentially target people who look into optimizing their tax duty, right? So we try to emphasize the tax aspect in that ad. Then we had another group of ads that were about different events. You can see here this one went live during Giving Tuesday. So you can see there's Giving Tuesday mentioned here in the ad, but we had similar ad copies for different days during this period. And then we had a retargeting ad where we basically said, donating is easy. Please do that now. Help us bring clean water to 12,000 people. Donate today, right? So those very kind of, yeah, urgent messages and just giving them reasons now is the right time, right? So we created these free segments and then we get this thing creative to support each one of them. And this is the chart that shows the timing, right? So this is the same client, and you can see here the blue line is clicks and the red line is conversion value. You can see that there are distinct peaks here. This one is Thanksgiving. They had a campaign around Thanksgiving keywords. So clicks went up here, but donation value did not, right? So there's been some interest, and these are most of the keywords from that first conversion stage. So we just try to bring them to the page. Then there's Giving Tuesday, which to, especially here, like I said, generally speaking, Giving Tuesday is the best day in terms of conversion value. But for this client this year, it wasn't. But we can see a distinct spike here in conversion value, but it wasn't the best day for them. And also clicks went up. We had a campaign specifically on Giving Tuesday keywords. Those kicked in. But again, it's just 1 or 2 days, right? So spike there, and then it went down again. Now this is late November, early December. So you can see clicks building up a little bit. There were some donations as well. And now there's Christmas, right? And you can see clicks going up. They had keywords related to holiday giving and things like that. So those kicked in. And by the way, this is 1 week, right? These are weekends. This is 1 week. So you can see within this 1 week, clicks went up a lot. And the Christmas day was a very good day in terms of conversion value as well. And then on 26, 27, it went down, right? So this very common pattern we see in many accounts. So after the Christmas day, clicks go down, people do different things. There's less people searching, generally speaking. But then there's New Year, and those are the last 3 days of the year, pretty much. And you can see it clearly here. Conversion value going up and peaking here. This I think was the best day for them, which was December 31st, right? And then it went down. The campaign went on until mid January, and you can see there was some decent donation here, but that was a one-off thing. We typically don't see this happening in too many accounts. Typically, it's the best day of the year. So again, why I'm showing you this uh, for us to start here, which is about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, everything needs to be planned ahead of time. We need to have the creatives, we need to have the landing pages, we need to know the strategy, the budgets, the channels, we need to have conversion tracking, ready, tested, and all that. Then we can go live, and we should, at latest, we should be live here before Giving Tuesday, because that's when it starts, and that's where you can expect the best donations, right? So the period here between Giving Tuesday and the end of year, that's the most crucial period, but we shouldn't start here, right? The brand awareness campaigns, those audience building phases, they should start somewhere over here, no, October and November, and then this is the time when we really push heavily with retargeting. All right, and it's just a quick comparison. I wanted to show you the differences in performance of ad grants campaigns and commercial Google Ads campaigns. And we don't need to take a look at all of them. I just wanted to show you the difference in cost per click. So, and this is a campaign with very similar targeting, except this is a search campaign in the grant account, and this is a display campaign in the commercial account. You can see that the average cost per click here in this grant account was $1.8 in this time period. And, banner campaign with similar targeting had an average cost per click of 19 cents, right? So banner campaigns are typically significantly cheaper than grant campaigns. So even if you don't have a sizable budget, you can still do fairly successful banner campaign. And also, what's very typical for banner campaigns is that you can get many impressions very quickly, right? So over here, 2 million impressions, 2.7K clicks, right? Doing this kind of branding effect with Google Ad Grants is almost impossible because of the nature of Google Ad Grants. With Google Ad Grants, we go after people who search for something. With banners, you define who you go after, right? So you can build up traction and traffic very quickly, and it doesn't have to be very expensive. Even with a few $100s per month, you can do a decent banner campaign. All right, now a sample strategy, right? So coming back to that organization, the Galapagos Conservancy, which is our client, I just want to show you what a sample financing strategy can look like. So when working with this client, the first step of the process was a process where we defined objectives and KPIs. So we sat with the client and we defined these three groups of goals. And the first one, the primary goal, was obviously to generate as many conversions as possible. And those are mostly donation conversions, but they also had other conversion types like contact initiations, newsletter subscription, etc., etc. Obviously, the main goal was to generate donations in the highest possible amount, but they also checked other conversion types. The secondary KPI was the number of visits. They wanted to, max out their exposure, max out the traffic, build up their audiences. Because once you have these retargeting pools created, you can use them later on as well. You can set very long cookie duration, which can be more than, I think the maximum is 540 days. So you can retarget those people for 1.5 years, right? So that's also very valuable. And the tertiary goal here was to generate quality visits, right? So we also monitored how much time people spend on their page, how many pages they visited during their session, etc. Right? And this was tracked in Google Analytics. After we defined these objectives, we defined target groups, right? So again, we talked to the client and we said, okay, who are the people that you want to go after? Who are the people that donate you the most? You probably know some of them personally, have some lists from before, you know what's the response, you know how it resonates with different groups. And they said that obviously they mostly want to go after people who are likely to give them monetary donations. So this could be, well-off people, this could be businessmen, this could be people in managerial positions, but it could be also people that are interested in environmental protection, things like that. Then the second group that we defined was a group that consisted of animal lovers, right? So people who search for things related to animals, who own pets, who like to support organizations that work with animals, etc., etc. Right? And again, their primary goal there in Galapagos is to protect animals, right? So when targeting people who have certain affiliation to animals, their assumption was that these people will be likely um, willing to donate this organization. All right, and the third group was a group of gift shoppers, right? So people who do holiday shopping, and we had different message here, and the message was basically, do not spend your money on buying gifts that people won't use. Buy something meaningful, right? Buy like a voucher you can give to somebody, um, things like that, right? So that was a third distinct group with different landing page with different creative. And obviously the target groups will be different, right? I'm just giving you an example here, but you should think about it like this. You should define your goals and then think about the audiences that could help you achieve those goals. And the third step was budget, right? Obviously, you can use ad grants, which if you use ad grants, you don't have to have any budget, technically speaking. But like I said before, ad grants has many different limitations, which means that they shouldn't be the only channel used in the strategy. And if you use any other channel like Google search, retargeting, display, etc., social media, any other channel, you need to have budget because this media space needs to be purchased. And again, coming back to this example, we basically said, okay, let's allocate the majority of budget, which in their case was $40,000, to commercial search campaigns. The reason why we decided to do that is because we've ran their ads account for a while, and we saw that there are some keywords that work very well, but these keywords were just too competitive for us to reach just with ad grants. So we said, okay, let's move these keywords into a commercial account. Let's bid high on these keywords. We know that they worked well in the past, and they should also work well in the future. And also, if you use search, when you go after people who actively search for things related to what you offer, the likelihood that they'll convert is much higher compared to banners, because banners just appear to people. They're not in the mood. They're not, you know, they're not actively searching for anything related to those banners. So the conversion rate is typically much lower in banner campaigns. So we said, let's put majority of the budget into search, and then $5,000 let's put into commercial display. That will help us build up that initial awareness, build up these retargeting pools. And then also we decided to run display retargeting campaign, and that campaign targeted people who visited the page in the past, but who did not convert, right? So those ads would constantly remind these people, hey, there's this organization, hey, come back, complete your donation. Right? That's how we split the budget. And the management cost, this is just our estimate, right? So based on our conversation with the client, we gave them this estimate, which they approved, and then we tracked our time. We invoiced them for the actual time that we spent on their campaign. All right, and the next step in this strategy was to define marketing channels. So I've already touched base on that. So in their case, they use Google Ad Grants. That was the baseline. And then they use commercial display, mostly in those early stages of the campaign. Later on, they use retargeting display campaign. Plus, they had this commercial search campaign, which they used to go after those most competitive, most lucrative keywords, especially during that period within or starting on Giving Tuesday, ending December 31st. That's when they used commercial search heavily. And the last step of the strategy preparation was to put it into tasks, right? So we just created a list of tasks, and then we went step by step, creating the campaigns for the client. And the tasks involved here were as follows. So we started with the strategy proposal. Those last four slides that I've shown you, that was basically part of the strategy proposal. The client approved it. They approved the budgets. They gave us access to a commercial account and grant account, obviously, as well. And that's all we needed. And then we started working on those campaigns. We started with those display campaigns to build up retargeting audiences. Um, while doing that, we worked on campaign assets. They use videos, they use banners, they use text ads. So we helped them create all that. The client created new landing pages, right? So each of the conversion stages had its own landing page, which they built. We helped them configure conversion tracking on each one of those new landing pages. So all the conversion buttons, all the links that went to their payment processor, essentially. Right? We tracked all that in Google Analytics, and we set up all those campaigns, and we create the reports. Each account had its own report, and we created online reports so they could access them at any time and see exactly how their campaigns are doing. And after we did all that, and we launched campaigns, and this happened in late October in their case, and then November and December, that's when we ran and optimized our campaigns. We had we sent them reports. We had sync up calls where we looked in the campaign performance. We discussed, okay, what we changed, what works, what doesn't work. Also the budget, and it's not set in stone, right? So if we see that some channel or some campaign doesn't work very well, we can always reallocate it, etc. And then so that's how it worked. Again, I'm not saying that you need to follow these exact steps, but it's worked out fine for us. And by the way, I didn't say that we are recording this webinar. We'll send it to you so you can then come back at any time and review those steps on your own. Now, what are our tips here? Obviously, we could talk for hours about this, but from my experience, these are the most important takeaways or tips that can help you maximize campaign performance. And I've already emphasized it, but I'll say it again: prepare early. Right? So October at latest. That's at latest when you should finalize the strategy, and then November and December. That's when the campaign should run. All of the assets should be ready. Right? My recommendation is not to to do that approach. Okay, we start now, and then okay, we might have the banners ready in 2 weeks, etc. I don't like that, right? So think about it ahead of time, create everything ahead of time, and then have it ready when the time comes. Ideally, have even the campaign set up, create the Giving Tuesday campaign, create the Christmas campaign in the account, You can keep it there. It will be paused, and then when the moment comes, just unpause it and run it. That way, we'll avoid stress. You will avoid stress, etc. The landing pages should be themed, right? So you can select one theme of the fundraising campaign, one visual, and ideally all the landing pages and all the visuals used in the campaign should share the one visual so that it's easier for people to remember you. You should create multiple creatives, right? So you can have one theme, but then you can have different wording, you can have different styles of ads. So for instance, you can have a portrait picture, you can have a picture where there's a group of people, and you can have a picture of I don't know, nature, something like that. So try very different images. Google has a capability to mix and match different pictures with different text, and they will create many different ad copies, and they will test them, and they will automatically run those that perform the best. Right. So create multiple creatives and test them. Configure value tracking if you can, because without value tracking, you won't be able to evaluate the actual return on your investment, right? So you should be able to not just track how many people donated, but what was the actual amount that you've raised, and then you can compare that with the campaign cost, and you'll see whether that was or wasn't profitable. Um, and yeah, do not just use Google Ads. Use commercial Google Ads, and if you have more budget, also use social media campaigns. We've tried Facebook and Instagram in the past. It's been fairly successful. Also, media costs on these platforms grow from year to year, but it's always good to have this multi-channel approach where people see your organization popping from everywhere they go, so to say. Yeah, then monitor campaign performance and optimize. So change budgets, change bids based on the actual uh, campaign performance. Those are tips related to how to set up and how to run campaigns. But we also want to share some tips related to um, how to run fundraising campaign in general. So these are things outside of just Google Ads. So we recommend setting goals, right? If you remember, I started this fundraising strategy um, slide with goals, right? So if you can think about it and say, define those goals. So say, okay, this will be the campaign duration, and during this period, I want to raise this much, or I want to get this many people on the page, or something like that. Right? Create goals and then design campaigns around those goals. If you have a donor list, so if you have a database of people who donated, email database or even physical addresses or whatever it is, create different segments, right? So you can, if you have different data points for these people, you can segment them. You can say, okay, now this is a group of people who donated last year, right? So you can then bid, with the highest bids on these people because they're likely to donate again. And if somebody donated 2 years ago, bid less on these people because they're less likely to donate, etc. Right? So if you have a database like this, think about it, segment it, and then target people as percentage as possible. Leverage Giving Tuesday. I've already mentioned that this is the single best day for fundraising, so make sure that you're present in the media space on that day. Streamline the process. So also take a look at how the donation process works on your website, right? How many steps there are in the process. Do people need to leave your domain and go to a third-party domain where they transact? Is it simple? Do you accept all major credit cards? All those things, right? It's also extremely important. We don't have time to obviously cover everything here today, but it's also a very important step. Social media, right? If you have social media presence, make sure that you really boost it during this period. Make sure that you post regularly. Make sure that you give people reason to donate. Make sure that you go after people who've followed you on social media in the past because this is really the crunch time. Get your community involved. If you are a local nonprofit, if you know people who support your organization, reach out to them locally, create some community event, fundraiser, physical one perhaps, and that still works. So we can do that as well and maintain engagement, right? So do not just start and then stop communicating. Really make sure that you take your time during those critical months of November and December and have an ongoing communication, engagement, scheduled posts on social media, ongoing campaigns on Google Ads, etc. All right, and we have about 15 minutes left, and we have a case study here. So that's a good timing. As I said in the beginning, if you have some questions, feel free to drop them in the chat window, and I'll answer them within the next few minutes. Now, here's the case study, and this is also one of our clients. The organization is called WaterAid America, and they are an international nonprofit whose mission is to bring clean water and sanitation to communities, mostly in Africa, but all over the world where people need it. And they raise funds in the U.S. and then they use these funds to run their clean water programs around the world. And we've been working with them for about 5 years. And every year, towards the end of the year, they run fundraising campaigns. So we have a lot of data with this client, and they have an ad grants account and they also have a commercial grants account. And when we prepare their fundraising campaigns in the ad grants account, this is what we typically do, right? So we start off by looking at their campaigns. Like I said, they've been running for years. They have a lot of history. So we take a look at their campaigns and we say, okay, which campaigns work well, which ones we keep, because they use the full grant, right? So we need to reduce budgets and bids in some of those evergreen campaigns to free up budget that we then use for fundraising campaigns. Right? So that's what we do. We also need to make sure that their account is obviously compliant, that they can track conversions, right? Etc. etc. So that's what we do in the ad grants account in preparation for the fundraising grant. So we free up budget and then we create new fundraising campaigns in their ad grants account. And they also have a commercial grant account, right? So what we do, again, as part of that analysis of the grant account, we identify keywords that have decent conversion performance, but perhaps those keywords are too expensive, too competitive for us to rank on well in the grant account. So now we take these keywords and we temporarily move them into the commercial account. Again, we focus on creating conversion tracking, making sure we can track values of different donations. We focus on retargeting. I keep saying this all over again, but this is a very important part of the strategy. So we create a retargeting audience and so we use them in the commercial account. And we every year we create different creatives in different formats, which we then test in the commercial account. And I also have examples of those creatives on the next slides. This is the campaign structure that we used for them last year in the grant account. So you can see that we looked at how we can promote their programs and as also fundraising keywords from different angles, right? So they work in different countries like Africa, Latin, Asia, etc. So we created campaigns for each one of these countries. And then we created a dedicated donation campaign in English and Spanish. Let's do one here. And then we ran awareness campaigns around their programs, right? They do a lot of education. They have articles around water, clean water, importance of water, etc., etc. Right? So we really try to be as present as possible in all the keywords that they use on their page. Right? So that was the structure that we used in their grant account. And then in the donation campaign, we created these ad groups. So these are ad group is a group of themed or tightly related keywords, right? So we went after keywords related to charity fundraising, um, generic fundraising, donations, support nonprofits, fundraising events, etc., and different types of fundraising, etc. Right? So we try to be present out there, and we try to use really as many keywords related to fundraising, donations, etc. as possible. Because it's a grant account, again, we can experiment, we can test many different keywords. We're not risking much, so we go very broad in terms of targeting the grant account. Now, after we created the campaign structure, we thought, okay, we will use the grant account for those for those awareness campaigns mostly. That's what we call prospecting, right? So turning people from not knowing the organization into knowing the organization. Ad grants will be used there. But we wanted to supplement it with more interactive formats, including display and video. Right? They do a lot of storytelling. Their topic is very visual. Right? They work with communities in Africa. They build wells for them, etc. A lot of great pictures. We also wanted to use that emotional aspect a little bit, and obviously that's difficult to do just in search. So we decided to also display and video. Then one level below that was what we call focused search. So that's commercial account really bidding on those most lucrative keywords, similarly to what we do with Galapagos, right? So a large part of the budget went to this focused search. And then again, there was retargeting. So all these people who visited the page in any of these stages, but who did not convert, they were added to retargeting pools. And then we had very aggressive retargeting campaigns, especially during those last 2 weeks of the year, where we tried to remind them of the organization. We tried to bring them back and make them complete the donation. I know it's a little bit probably too small, but hopefully you can see that. These are just some of the ads that we created for them. Right, so as you can see here, we had a different ad copy here for Giving Tuesday. You can see it over here. We had a different ad copy just for generic donation campaign. We had a different campaign for tax deductible donation keywords. Then they had a campaign where people could donate cryptocurrency. So we had a different landing page, different ad copy here. And then we had different ads for different retargeting audiences. So they had an email audience, right? So that was, we went after these people with this ad copy. And then they had um, different pools created off of visitors to different pages, right? So event pages or the crypto landing page, right? So those are very distinct groups of visitors. So you wanted to show them different retargeting ads. And besides these text ads, we also created banner ads. These are just a few examples. You can see that we use so-called responsive display ads where we upload the picture, the logo, and then the text separately. And then Google, mix and match those, and they can serve these ads on different devices, different sizes, etc. This is a desktop ad. This is a mobile ad. And it's again desktop, a different format, right? And again, my recommendation is to try different creatives, different texts, and that way you can really maximize the likelihood that you'll find this winning combination. All right, after we did that, so after we prepared the text ads, the banner ads, we moved on to the next step, which then was the analytics setup. As you can see here, in these campaigns, you can see search, and they also use Bing, and they use different channels, and it's the landing page they used. And we used these URL parameters, right? So you can see here that after the URL, over here, we have this question mark, and then there are these parameters. There's one parameter, and then there's an symbol, and there's another parameter, right? So on in different campaigns, we use different parameters here. And then their Google Analytics account, which was implemented on this landing page, captured those parameters, and that's what they use to report on success of these different channels, right? So by using these URL parameters, we passed that information about the traffic source into Google Analytics, and then they saw, okay, these donations or this many donations and this amount came from Google search, and this many came from Google retargeting, etc. Then we could compare it easily with how much we spent on different channels, different campaigns. We could see which ones are generating profit and which ones are generating loss. All right, and these are the results, right? So we ran these campaigns for about 2 months, and again, in their case, it was November, December, and I think 2 weeks in January. And over this time period, the ads appeared more than 2 million times. This is a sum of display, video, and text. And they've generated more than 42,000 visits. And I'm just over here. I'm just talking about Google Ad Grants and commercial Google Ads. Right? They also had social media campaigns and other things like that, which we did not manage for that. So it's just Google properties. They had more than 42,000 visits from those. And the value that we could track and attribute back to these campaigns via those URL parameters exceeded $50,000, right? So that's what they generated, and the ROI was about 140%. So when we compare the actual donation amount with the amount of cost that included the media spend as well as our fees, there was a positive ROI of 140%. Okay, and now obviously they are a well-known organization. They have a portion of brand traffic that converted very well, etc., etc. So every campaign is different. I can't guarantee that your campaign will have, such a decent ROI. But following a systemic approach and by planning everything ahead and really focusing on those channels that have the highest opportunity of performing well. By doing all that, you can maximize the likelihood that you will land a positive ROI, which should be obviously the ultimate goal here in any fundraising campaign. All right, and key takeaways, and that's I think the last slide because we don't have too much time left. So key takeaways: prepare early again, and create a strategy in one document, and this should be understood by your team as well as our team or a team, any other agency or vendor who helps you with the campaign. So make sure you are all on the same page. Make sure you understand what will be the landing pages, which channels will be used, what will be the campaign duration, what will be the campaign budget. Make sure that this is all understood. Make sure you use conversion tracking, uh, ideally including value tracking. Evaluate and optimize periodically. So, after you start running it, don't just leave it like that. Keep coming back, keep checking the performance, keep making updates. Um, Make sure you profit from those key days. It's Giving Tuesday, Christmas, last 3 days of the year. Those are the main ones. Make sure that you allocate the majority of budget into those days. Also, you can experiment if you can allocate small part of the budget into experiments. You can try Bing, for instance, like Moderate did. You can try different channels. You can try completely different keywords. And if you see this bringing success, you can scale it up next year. If not, then you won't lose too much because there's only been a small part of budget allocated here. Our recommendation is to always have an experimental campaign like that and use AdGrants to the highest possible extent. That's a channel that doesn't cost you anything, so make sure you max out AdGrants, and then next to it, build up those additional focused retargeting campaigns. That's really it. If you need our help, obviously we'll be happy to help you. Why us? Some of you who work with us, you already know who we are and how we work. For those of you who do not know that, take a moment, pause it here. If you watch it from recording, just pause it here or go to our website. And these are our main competitive advantages. We've been, running campaigns like this for a while. We have experience with that, so we can help you focus on those channels that we've seen working well with others, which can speed up things, which can help us ramp up those new campaigns quickly, and minimize the cost and minimize the time needed for these new campaigns to ramp up. That's about it. I think I'll conclude it with this, and let's take a look at questions. Let's see, we have. Actually, that's not a question. Somebody said great information. Thank you. Jackie said that. Thank you very much, Jackie. Thanks for attending. Anybody else? I can still take about 2 more minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat window here. We will send you a recording of this webinar later today. So you can just click the link, review that information. I know we've only had 1 hour. There's been a lot of information that I wanted to tell you today. So I know it's been a little bit hectic. So take your time, take a look at the recording, and my email address is is here on the last slide. Second. Yes, my email address is right here. So feel free if you have any more questions. If you're interested in working with us on these campaigns, obviously we'll be happy to do so. So let us know. And yeah, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank you for attending the webinar today. I would like to wish you best of luck in your fundraising campaigns. Jackie, we can set another time to discuss the details of your campaign. Thank you again for attending today. Have a great rest of the day. Bye bye.